My goal as a Toastmaster is to learn to be able to share from my heart. So I would like to start today with a little story. I was going to originally call my speech Rock Bottom, but when I sat down with my mentor to discuss rock bottom, what came to mind for him was an image of a homeless man standing on the street. So I changed the name of my speech to Moving Rocks so that it would more accurately depict the message I was intending to leave you with. We made a promise that day that he would tell me if I ever crossed the line of being too personal or too preachy, and that I would promise to leave my current struggles at my therapist's office. So today, I would like to share with you some of my struggles and how I learned in trying to share, I hope to inspire you to take action and create your best life. Mr. Chairperson, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests. In learning to move the rocks in my life, it changed the way I live, love, work, and parent. As I share my story, I invite you to ask yourself the question, am I truly living the life I want to be living? Does my life, is it filled with meaning and purpose? As Canadians, we are born into a life of luxury. We have freedom and opportunities that are pretty much endless. We are allowed to pursue life in any way we desire. And yet, at times, we squander our life experience because we are not free in our minds. We are afraid of what other people think of us. We are afraid to say no. We are afraid to show up and be who we are and seek the lives we truly desire. I am speaking to emotional freedom, and that would be the experience of peace and happiness within our lives. Not the hard suffering that some of you might imagine as rock bottom, but a softer type of suffering. And the rocks I'm referring to are just the obstacles that we must move in our lives so that we can enjoy this deeper sense of freedom and purpose. This past year, I worked really hard at moving rocks that were preventing me from loving my life. And I embraced change in a big way. And it transformed my first world suffering into something I am now proud to call my life. It all started on a very normal September day. At 37 years old, I opened the back door to my house to let my dog out. And I suddenly, like a ton of bricks, I was hit with the awareness of how unhappy, shut down, and disengaged I felt from my life. I had done a lot of really cool things in my life. I owned a lot of really great stuff, and I accomplished some really big goals, but I had this deep sense that something was missing. I fantasized about running away. I longed to escape, and I felt alone, unsupported, and defeated. I was disconnected from those that I love the most. I blamed my husband, I blamed my kids, and I blamed myself. Like most moms, I was tired and overwhelmed. After 8 years of not sleeping through the night, meeting the endless demands of having young children, and not acknowledging myself or my needs, it had taken over my existence. I felt the unhappiness in my body, mind, and spirit. I knew with certainty that I could no longer continue to live my life the way I was living it. Some of you may relate to my story, some of you may not, but I guarantee there will be one point in your life and something that brings you to your knees. I refer to it as my rock bottom, but really what I discovered is it was just rocks. And it takes a lot of courage and strength to deal with the rocks. They're heavy. And we as humans are more tempted to look for a way around them than we are to actually move them. But in learning to move those rocks, we get to unleash the peace and the power and the happiness that is underneath them. And we get to discover the truth in our lives, that everything we will ever need is already inside of us. One of the biggest rocks I had to look under in my life was how awful I felt in my relationships. I had to lean into the pain, the heartache, and the disconnection. And once I was able to lift that giant rock of blame, I came to own all the ways I was giving away my power. I had to move a lot more rocks so that I could show up peacefully and powerfully in my relationships. And I had to learn how to do the right things. Before moving the rocks, I had done a lot of things. They just happened to be the wrong things. I was doing all the things that I thought a perfect wife and a perfect mother should be doing. And I was very busy, and perhaps my busyness distracted me from looking under the rocks. Because no matter what I did or how much I did, it was never enough. Another rock. Anyone relate to this feeling? I am not enough. I am not rich enough. I am not smart enough. I am not thin enough. I am not promoted enough. I work with women. I know I am not alone in this. We all feel this rock. And this rock will never go away until we learn to examine our lives from a different place. I discovered that I was looking to my outside world for personal validation. And I learned the hard way through many years of emotional pain that when you live your life from this place of searching for external validation from the outside world, all you will ever be able to see are the places where you are not enough. Same thing goes for love, acceptance, security. And when I grew tired enough of feeling this way, I found a way to move that rock. And it started with a sacred promise that I made to myself that started with the words, no more, and never again. And this began my journey inside and my ability to look and see myself and my ability to move rocks off my path. This became my transformation from a human doing into a human being. And I let go of the woman I was pretending to be and thought I should be, and I started to embrace the woman I am. I stopped fighting what my heart wanted, and I started listening, and I knew what to do next. And I began taking action and organizing my life around what sparked joy and happiness for myself. My path became more clear, and little by little, day by day, my self-confidence grew. My smile returned, and I started to feel happy on the inside. The more I continued to take baby steps forward, the faster my life transformed. I found deeper connection and meaning within myself, my life, and my relationships. And it feels good, really good. Doors are starting to open, and people are starting to show up for me in ways I never dreamed possible. So in closing, I invite you again to examine your life. Look for the rocks. Find ways to remove them. I think we owe it to ourselves, our loved ones, and the people who fight for our freedom every day that we show up for ourselves. Remove those rocks and live our lives from a place of freedom. If you come up against a large rock, let it shake the foundation of who you believe you are and what you believe to be possible for your life. The larger and harder a rock is to move, the more beauty, magic, and power you will unleash. Don't be afraid to make that sacred promise to yourself that begins with the words no more and never again, or to fully commit to that promise. Be brave. Ask for what your heart wants, and you will always be able to source the strength and the courage you need to move forward in whatever direction is right and authentic for you.
So we'll take 1 minute to allow the evaluators to finish their evaluation of Kelly's